Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist at Fons & Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put together the blocks for the quilt called Checkerboard Shuffle. Now, to access the pattern for this or for purchase of it, to go to our website and you can find all the details there. Okay, we're going to get into our project and it's going to be using 2.5 inch wide strips of a variety of kind of romantic feeling fabrics. There's blues, there's greens, there's pinks and some lights. And we're going to be adding then a light background. As you can see behind me, the red makes all the colors pop. So a great combination, and then finish it off with a great floral border. So what we're going to do is look at the two blocks that go within this quilt. One is a 16 patch like this, set on point, and the other is a kind of a star kind of block, and we're going to address that one second. So let's start with the 16 patch. This is our block. We're going to be going through those great 2.5 inch strips, and we're going to be cutting them up. And now I've made a template here. In our directions, we'll tell you off of each strip what to cut, but just to make it easier, off of each of the different fabrics, you're going to be cutting 7.5 inch bars, 3.5 inch rectangles, 2.5 inch squares, and then the remainder, so you don't waste too much, and those go into different places within the quilt. So once you've that remainder piece, you're going to be using to make strip sets. They're fairly short, but that gives you enough variety to create the 16 patches. Now I've got a short piece of one here, and you would go through and bring 4 fabrics together that you like to make a strip set. And like I said, these are short ones. Just I have a short space in my sewing studio here, so just so that you can see what we're doing, we're making the 4 different sets of strip sets. Make sure you take time to press each of the strip sets as you go. Keep things nice and neat and tidy. And then I'm going to stack them one on top of the other. And I could go and just cut one strip set at a time into pieces at 2.5 inch increments. But if I stack them up, I can save some time. So we stack them like this. And then using a ruler, we're going to come in and we're going to cut the segments that we need for the 16 patch. Now remember to overcut the beginning, because no matter how hard you try, the fabrics are never the same length and things shift a little. So overcut that first piece. I'm lining up one of the horizontal lines on my ruler with my seam allowance, or my seams there, so I know that I'm getting it nice and straight. And a sharp rotary cutter blade's a must. I can go down through all 4 layers there. And then on this first one, I'm going to rotate it so I can come back and clean it up and make a perfect 2.5 inch strip or unit for my 16 patch, just like that. And quickly, you've then now created 4 different pieces, like the 4 you see here in this block. I'll lay them out, see how quickly you can produce the pieces for a 16 patch. And then it's just simple joining of rows to make the entire block. Now I have one that's already been joined, so we'll take this one out. And you can see we're making progress to make this block. But if you look at it, you'll notice that this block's a little bit larger. And what we need to do is follow the instructions. We're going to create an illusion. Because these blocks are set on point, they need to be a little bit smaller to fit within the grid that we're working on. So it tells you in your instructions to make a template or to draw or size this block down to a certain size. What I've done is gone in and made an actual plastic template. It takes very little time to cut it with a rotary cutter. I've found my center so that I can match it up over the center intersection on my 16 patch. And then you would simply, if you trust yourself, you could cut, but what I would probably do is to go in and then, using my favorite marking tool, is to mark a cutting line all the way around using this plastic template. And then go in with your rotary cutter and ruler and size down each side, which then creates those outer edges. They will not be square, but yet they have the illusion of squares when we get to this point. So trim this down, don't forget that step. Then go back into your cutting instructions and you'll notice you cut large squares of background fabric, and what you're going to do is cut them diagonally, corner to corner. And once you've cut 2 of them, you will then have the companion pieces that go around your 16 patch. Remember, this one's sized down a bit. I just won't do it here for you today. You can figure out how to trim that. Simple cutting. You are going to go in and put 2 sides at a time, stitching them, and then pressing the seam allowances toward the outside, and then add the second 2 and press the seam allowances to the outside. And if you have these little triangles that overlap or hang outside of that, you'll have done it right, but it's a 1/4 inch from this cut edge into your seam allowance on each side, and you have your 16 patches for your quilt. The fun part about this quilt is that the 2 blocks interlock so well that it's like an illusion. Where is the block and where does it start and stop? And that's the fun part of creating Checkerboard Shuffle. Now we're going to work on that second block, that elusive star. Okay? If we break this one down by going through your diagrams, you'll notice you've cut a center square, and then you remember when you were cutting off of each of your strips, you cut some different size rectangles. That's where they come into play, because each of the stars has a different box that floats in front of it. So we create that box effect by creating a row. We have the red in the center, rectangles on each side, large rectangles top and bottom. And then you've created your center of that block. Once you've got that, now it's the time to look at it and go, there are flying geese blocks, 4, that match the that center red. So we need to create 4 of these units. Now we're going to be using a light color rectangle, and we're going to be using 2 red squares to create that. And you may have already done the diagonal seams method. It might be very familiar to you, but if you haven't, we are going to step through that real quickly here. What you take is the 2 squares and you mark them with a diagonal line on each of them. Now, the red fabric is fairly dark, so you're going to need something that will leave a line that you can actually see well for sewing. You mark 2 of them for each of the flying geese units, and then you're going to apply these to the rectangle one at a time, stitching from corner to corner, and then you're going to press this outward in this manner. And I have one partially done, so let's put it in. Well, I guess I did the other side of it, but it's the same effect. Okay, it's been stitched corner to corner, pressed out, and then I go in and trim away the underside triangle. You can use the scissors, you can use your rotary cutter, whichever is the most handy. So we've got one corner on. Now I do the same thing on the other side. You come in, stitch corner to corner, and press out and trim. Now remember, when you're pressing out, don't stretch. You're trying to keep these as accurate as possible. So this is the back side of flying geese unit, and you do need 4 of those. So those would then go positioned properly. Don't have the points going toward the center, you'll get a completely different effect. So we need 4. Just lay things out. Starts to look like a block. Makes it exciting to work on your project when everything starts to come together. Now, these are rectangles. You'll see there's small little rectangles on each side of each of the flying geese. So we're going to create pieces here, the bottom, the sides also, get them. Work our way around each block. A lot of times when I'm working on a project, I'll just work on one block at a time. It's like a mini goal. If I can sit down and I can put together one block, I have accomplished something for the day, and then I can go on and come back and create another block. Making quilts is just a process. Okay, now we have those squares that you cut off your strips way back in the beginning. They come in scrambled in different scrappy locations within this quilt. So now you're going to create a row here. You're going to join these pieces together and join this as a row. Join these pieces together, and this will be a row, and then you just join the rows together, and you've got the stars that go into Checkerboard Shuffle. Now our quilt is finished off with a red inner border and a lovely floral outer border and binding, and you've got Checkerboard Shuffle. For more of our video tutorials, visit our website. Thank you for joining me today.